Hey guys, so this is your April 13th Digital Learning Day. So this is Monday, April 13th. So first thing that you want to do is you're going to open up this document that looks like this. It's called UPick2. And so what you're going to do is you're going to actually pick any two data sets and compare measures and representation of the data. So you're just going to pick two, and you're going to kind of compare and contrast. So like for instance, right here and here, the means are the same. That means the averages are the same, and the MADs are different. The standard deviations are also different. This one's more spread out than this one is. And that's all you're really going to say about it. So if you pick two of these and just say, hey, this is how they're similar, hey, this is how they're different. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to open up this document. So investigating variability. And I want to kind of just cover some vocab that you need. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the mean. So for the mean, you're going to add up all of your numbers and divide by how many numbers you have. So for instance, if I have, here's just an example. If I have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up these numbers and then divide by how many numbers I have. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10. So I'm going to put 10 in the top, and then down the bottom, it's the number of terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So 10 divided by 4, I'm going to go into my calculator, and I'm going to do 10 divided by 4. Okay, and that's going to give me 2.5. So I have an average of 2.5. Okay, this X bar means average or mean, and we're going to see that in the next formula. So standard deviation, this one takes forever, and I'm actually going to show you a shortcut for this one. So let's go ahead and talk about interquartile range. Let's say in this example, I'm going to add one more number to it. In this example, we were trying to find the interquartile range. So the interquartile range means that you have to first find the median, okay, which the median is the middle number. That means that you have to number from least to greatest, and the middle number is your median. So 3 would be my median in this example, okay? If you have like an even number of terms, so like let's say for instance, we just had that 1, 2, 3, 4 set, okay? You would take the two numbers that were in the middle and then add them together and divide by 2. So your middle number would be 2.5, okay? But we're actually going to use this example where it actually does have that 5, okay? So interquartile range, that means that I have to find Q1 and Q3. So Q1 is going to come from my lower quartile, okay? And Q3 is going to come from my upper quartile. So my lower quartile consists of the numbers that are below the median. So 1 and 2 are below the median right now, okay? So I want to find the number that's in between those two. So in order to find that, I'm going to take 1 and 2, add them together and divide by 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 divided by 2 is going to give me 1.5. So my Q1 is going to be 1.5. Over here, my numbers that are above my median are 4 and 5. So I'm going to take 4 and 5, add them together, and divide by 2. So 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So my Q3 is going to be 4.5. In order to find the interquartile range, I'm going to subtract these two numbers. So I'm going to take 4.5 minus 1.5. So 4.5 minus 1.5 is going to give us, and we're going to type it into our calculator, because I know y'all are sitting there going, I know the answer on the top of my head, but I'm going to check it just to make sure. 3, okay? So on this document, and you can actually click on each of these little blue things, and they will hyperlink to a YouTube video that just tells you how to do this through your calculator. I'm going to show you how to do it on a TI-84/83, but if you want to do it on the 36 or you want to do it on Desmos, whatever you have at home, click on this document and it'll make it easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through this data, and you're going to see how each like example, they have, like, for instance, remove the largest number. Well, how does that affect the mean, standard deviation, median, and interquartile range? Okay, so for this first data set, I'm going to show you how to put it into your TI-83 calculator. So you're going to go to Stat, okay, and you're going to click on Edit. So you're going to hit Enter. Now you're going to enter all of these numbers. I would suggest putting them in number order. I don't think I've ever tried not putting them in number order, but you can do whatever you think is best. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this goes all the way to 20, right? Okay, so your data set normally doesn't just do consecutive numbers. Normally it jumps around. Normally it's talking about, like, averages or of, like, test scores and that kind of thing. So it doesn't always, like, go in order. So make sure that you pay attention to your data set. But in this case, we go from numbers 1 to 20. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, then you're just going to enter them. Okay, and it does take a little while, but honestly, it pays off. This is faster than having to calculate it by hand. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to hit Stat. You're going to scroll over to where it says Calc, and then you're going to click on this first one. It says 1 var stats, 1 variable statistics. Okay, and so when you do that, it actually pulls up all the information you need. Do you notice how this right here says the mean is 10.5? Well, look at what it says right here on my calculator. It says 10.5. Okay, standard deviation, that's going to be represented by this sigma x, this guy right here. I know that symbol's a little weird, but that's a lowercase sigma. That's what it looks like. You're going to use that as your standard deviation. Okay, this tells you the number of numbers, which there's 20 terms in this list. It tells you the minimum number. It also tells you your Q1, tells you your median, and it tells you your Q3, and it tells you your max. Okay, so this is all the information that you can use in order to basically just solve any problem. So you don't really have to do a whole lot of math. You just have to know what each symbol means, which that's pretty solid. This interquartile range, though, you do have to, I think, calculate it. I don't think it does it for you. So you're just going to take Q3 and subtract Q1. So 15.5 minus 5.5, and that's going to give me 10. Okay? Now, on this next example right here, it says remove the largest number. That means get rid of 20. So when you go back into your edit for your list, so hit Stat and hit Edit, and go back into your list and go down to where it says 20, because you put that in the first time, and you're going to delete that number. Okay, and then you just hit Stat, go over to Calc, hit Enter again, and this pulls up all the statistics. And boom, it's the same stuff that's written right here. Okay, so this makes it a little bit easier, but you do have to download this TI-83. So if you type into Google TI-83 download, it should pull up, the first one should be literally for free. Do not pay for a TI-83. And if you're having issues, just let your teacher know or let me know, and we'll go over it. Okay, and you can try this one. So if you want to pause the video and try it, I'm going to put it into my calculator. So I would probably pause the video right now and try it, and then check your work. So when I put this into my calculator, I'm going to go into Edit. I'm going to go back down to the bottom. I'm going to put in 20. And then I'm also going to put in 40 because I added that in there. Okay. And then I'm going to go to Stat, scroll over to Calc, hit Enter. And so this will give me an average of 11.9 and a standard deviation of 8.43, a median of 11, and an interquartile range of 16.5 minus 5.5, which is going to be 11. Okay, so that's how you do it through a TI-83 calculator. Okay, so you're thinking, how do the standard deviation and mean change when you remove the largest number? So let's go back and look at that. Okay, so when we removed the largest number, how did the standard deviation change? So the first standard deviation was 5.77, and now it's going to be 5.48. So it goes down. That means all of my numbers get a little bit closer together. That's really what this is talking about. The standard deviation is deviating from the mean by a certain percentile. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. So how do the standard deviation change? it gets smaller. Also, let's look at how the mean changed. It went from 10.5 to 10. That also got smaller, okay? As it gets closer together with the numbers. How do they change if you add a large outlier? So the word outlier means that it's a number that's not consistent with the other terms, okay? So just like in that last example, we added 40. Well, 40 doesn't really go with 1 through 20. So how did that affect, and it wanted to know, how did they affect the standard deviation and the mean here? Well, look at what happened. It went from 5.77 to 8.43. It went from 10.5 to 11.9. So it gets bigger when you add a large outlier, okay? So it increases that standard deviation. So what do you predict will happen to the mean and standard deviation if you remove the least value from the data set? And I'm going to leave that one for you to ponder. But on these next few, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try these. Okay, so you're going to add a value equal to the mean. Okay, and then add two values equal to the mean, which they already show you the data set, what it's going to look like. I want you to practice putting these into your calculator, and I want you to check and make sure that you're getting these answers on your calculator, okay? So take a moment and try that. So we're going to answer this question. What happens when you add a value to the data set equal to the mean, or two values? Okay, so let's look. Well, we went from the original, we went from 10.5 and 5.77. Well, our mean stayed the same. But what happened to our standard deviation? Well, it went down, right? Yeah? Okay. Let's look at our median. Still stayed the same because we're comparing it to this original. This is the OG of this data set. Okay? All right. What if we add two values equal to the mean? Well, our mean still stays the same. And our standard deviation only dropped by 5.63. It went from 5.77 to 5.63. But it's consistent with this first one, right? And then these numbers are all the same. So even if you add the same number multiple times, it's still going to be the same as just adding it once, okay? The effect it has once, if you repeat that number, it's going to have the same values, okay? So this is your assignment for today, the partner practice. So this is what you're doing, and this is your partner. The partner's stuff is already completed. So you're going to work the mean, standard deviation for these three, and then you're going to answer, what do you notice about the mean and standard deviation you and your partner found for the 3 dot plots, okay? And so dot plots, if you forgot how to do them, you can YouTube them, or you can ask your teacher, or I do a live session today at 6. So just click on my link, and we can talk about it if you need to. But that's basically what we have for you today. So mean, median, interquartile range, standard deviation. Those are really the important parts of today's lesson.